I think you reach a certain milestone as a parent when you recognize that your son gives a better response than what you would. So here's the example. We were reading a bunch of books yesterday, and he's a super big fan of the Who Would Win books, if any of you know what that is. And one of them we read actually last year when he first discovered the books. And so I said to him, I was like, honey, we already read this book already. And I thought he'd say something like, okay, like we don't have to read that. Or, okay, let's read it again. Nope. He said something even better. He said, wow, isn't that so great that we get to read this book again? And I paused just like I am right now. And I could not believe that my 6-year-old said something so amazing. Because he literally just did a mindset shift. Like, for me, I was expecting him to either say, okay, let's not read it, or let's just do it again. Something obligatory, right? But that's not what he said. He made it into, wow, isn't this a cool opportunity? And it made me think a lot about when we can get so deep into the nitty-gritty of everyday life, we start to feel like everything is obligatory. Bills, interactions with people we love, work, of course, and chores around the house, and so many other things. And that feeling of having to do something suddenly takes the joy out of life. But when we look at things like, wow, this is a really great opportunity, it changes everything. It gives more meaning back to something that maybe never even really had that much meaning to begin with. So, what I'm going to challenge you with today is to think about the things in life that have been weighing you down, that have been making you feel like you just don't want to do it. And think about it and ask yourself, like, hey, what is this providing for me on an everyday basis? How is this bringing me joy? And maybe your initial response might be, it doesn't bring me joy, like dishes. Think about it like this. We're going to use the example of dishes. So you're running late for work. You reach for a cup really quick so that you can grab a cup of coffee to go, right? But your dishes aren't clean. So in that instance, wouldn't it have been nice to have a clean mug, clean cup, so that you could have your coffee to go? So it's those things. When you think about how does this benefit future me? Because yes, being in the present is so incredibly important. But what's also important, or I should say, and what's also important, is thinking about how you can help yourself in the future. So a lot of times when I'm ready to go to bed and I see a messy house, I think about, wow, wouldn't it be so nice to wake up refreshed and feel great, knowing that everything is where it's supposed to be. Things feel caught up. And so that always encourages me to do the things that I, want to do to make things better the next day. And that is not called discipline. That's called blisscipline. Blisscipline is when we can look at those obligatory things, or the things that we feel like are obligatory, and suddenly make them into opportunities. And that is not just homework for you, but for me too, because the past 3 weeks have been pretty gnarly. And I feel like my son's comment to me of, oh, isn't this so exciting that we can read this book again, reminded me why I'm here, like on this platform, what I talk about, what I teach. And it was just a rejuvenating moment that came out of nowhere. And I love when those things happen, because that's just always a sign of how the universe is working in your favor. And of course, I see my son much more deeply than that. But the interaction itself was moving in so many different ways. affirming as a parent, 100%. Amazing to see my little boy adulting in his own ways, absolutely. But also an incredible lesson for me. And now for you. So think about those things. How can you flip them into opportunities? Maybe it's all about helping your future self, however you want to look at it. Infuse that discipline into your life and flip the script.